Well, welcome everyone to the regular meeting, March 18, 2025. At this time, I'll have the City Clerk, Beth Davis, to please call the roll.
Commissioner Jeff Sanford.
Here.
Commissioner Sharon Neesmith.
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Commissioner Curtis Maglinger.
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Bob Glenn is unavailable.
Thank you. This time, if you're able, please remove your hat and stand for our invocation and our pledge by Commissioner Jeff Sanford.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we're going to do the Lord's Prayer. If you know that, you can repeat it with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. As the kingdom, power, and glory, now and forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is a proclamation for Social Work Month. I think Dr. Elaine Wright from Brescia, with her additional colleagues, will also be in attendance for the meeting. I'll read the proclamation from here, and they'll come down and present it, okay? It's a little easier to see. City of Owensboro proclamation. On behalf of all our citizens, all our employees, and all our retirees, we present to you this proclamation. Whereas this year's Social Work Month theme, Social Work Compassion Plus Action, embodies the fact that social workers go through years of education and training, so they have the skills and expertise to transform their care for others into action that brings positive results. And whereas social workers have helped this nation live up to its values by successfully advocating for equal rights for all people, no matter their race, sexual identity, gender expression, culture, or religion. And whereas social workers follow a code of ethics, which sets as the primary mission of the social work profession the enhancement of human well-being and meeting the basic human needs of all people, with particular attention to the needs and empowerment of those who are vulnerable, oppressed, and living in poverty. And whereas the social work profession is one of the fastest growing professions in the United States, with more than 800,000 people expected to be employed as social workers by 2033. And whereas social workers are at the forefront of pressing issues our nation is addressing, including increased needs for mental health care, especially for children and adolescents, substance use disorder treatment, and increased economic and political division. And whereas social workers continue to stand ready to assist our nation in overcoming present and future challenges, including ending gun violence, improving health care and mental health care for all, and urging lawmakers to adopt immigration reforms. Now, therefore, I, Thomas Hart Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2025 as Social Work Month in Owensboro in recognition of the numerous contributions made by American social workers, and I call on all citizens to join in the celebration and support the social work profession. Signed and sealed this 18th day of March 2025. Okay, you want to bring your people up? We'll present this out here and take a picture or two, and come on down, folks. Let's hug them up. Please state your name and address for the record.
I am Elaine Wright, and I live at 906 West Parish Avenue.
Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor Watson, city commissioners, city officials, everybody in this room and online, I want you to know that I am proud to be a social worker. And it is an honor to receive this proclamation of March as Social Work Month. But I also need to tell you something very important, that I am not alone. There are social workers around the world, across this country, in this city, and in this room right now. And as I will always do, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand so they can see the social workers that are with me in this room and the social workers to be that are in this room. This proclamation is really a dedication to them, and it is my honor to work alongside you all. These are the people that represent this theme: social work, compassion, and action. And it really is my honor to work along them. They change lives every day. As you may know, as social workers, we're there with people wherever they need us. We're on that street corner, we're in their homes, we're in the hospitals, we're in the schools, we're in the child welfare system. We're with those kids and families when they need us. Social workers provide more healthcare services, mental health care services, than any other profession across this country. And we do it because we believe in it, and we're going to keep doing it. As this proclamation said, we're one of the fastest growing professions. We're going to have 800,000 estimated employed in 2033. That's not too far away. That's less than 10 years. And what you may not know is that Brescia University is a big part of making that happen, at least in this city, but our students are around the country and around the world. Since 1995, we have been graduating social workers in both our master's and bachelor's programs. So in 30 years, we've had almost 1,000 students that have graduated from that program. I have graduated from that program. And we do it because we believe in it. And we're going to keep doing it because we believe in changing lives. We believe in making this world a better place. It's our calling. And I think I need to tell you that this is more meaningful than you know. To have an opportunity to uplift social workers, to have this opportunity to give credit to these people in this room, because I see the work that they do every day as they're training the future social workers. And we have one of them right here, which we're delighted to have for that and show her off as well. So I also want to thank you for all the work that you do to make this city a warm, welcoming place. And we look forward to working with you to continue to do that. Thank you.
Next item is a retirement recognition for, I know I'll mess this up, Sheena Adamick, telecommunicator, will retire March 31st, 2025 after more than 22 years of dedicated service. Throughout her career, she has received 13 performance notices recognizing her outstanding work ethic. She also has served as a certified communications training officer for several years and was honored by the Telecommunicator of the Year in 2010. Telecommunicator Adamick has been a valuable asset to our agency, and her mentorship of upcoming telecommunicators is truly commendable. She's not here, but we will make sure she gets a copy of these kudos. So let's just go ahead and just pretend like she's here and give her a hand wrap. Next item on the agenda is 4C, Owensboro Fire Department Annual Report. Is this the abridged version or is this a long version?
I'm just going to surprise you tonight.
Chief.
No, this, Chief Howard, Owensboro Fire Department, 512 West 9th Street. And I do want to thank you for giving me time to present a lengthy presentation for your pleasure this evening. I think I can keep it to 10 minutes or so, but it kind of depends on how many questions you have tonight. So some of the length of the presentation is up to you. It can be interactive or not. Start out with a pretty picture. You can see our drill tower there in the background. This is our annual report. We come and do this every year around February or March, and it's always an honor to do that. It's an honor to lead, and it's an honor to have that opportunity to share with our elected officials and with the public kind of what's been going on with our department in the past year and where we're going. So the things that we're going to hit on over the next few minutes, I'm going to touch on the shape of the organization. We're going to hit on the three things that we do, which is go out in emergency response, to train our first responders, and then to try to prevent emergencies from happening. And then we're going to touch on some highlights from 2024 and then talk briefly about goals for 2025. So the organization. I have a picture of a building there, but the organization is really made out of people. We have 100 uniform positions and one administrative aide who's not a hazardous employee. And they are definitely the heart and soul of our organization, and they make up the Owensboro Fire Department, and those interactions in the community are really what people think of as the fire department. When the city manager interviewed me for this job a few years ago, he asked me at one point, he said, "What is the brand of the fire department?" And I don't know how good my answer was then, but I've come to learn and to feel strongly that the brand is its people and the impact that the people have in this community. And I stand by that and the quality of our people. So we are a mission-driven organization. And to be a mission-driven organization, it means that you're unwavering and you have to have a North Star and identify exactly what it is that you do and be able to communicate that very clearly so that there's no question and people know what to expect of you. And the mission is in front of you, and even the people who think they have a good idea of what the fire department is may not have ever seen this mission or taken the time to read it. This is a mission in our last strategic plan that we rebuilt to say how the current fire department staff feels about who we are and what we do. So the Owensboro Fire Department seeks to provide the highest level of safety and emergency services to our community. And once again, I said that we do emergency response, we train our folks, and we prevent emergencies. That's what our mission is, to go out there and do those things, to protect our community, to save lives and property. So what you see now is an org chart, and everybody here, whether it's Brescia or any other organization, has something like this that tells how the authority flows and the chain of command works from the top to the bottom. What's not on this slide, but I want everyone to understand, is who our real bosses are and where our authority comes from. And that's the community itself. Over 60,000 people and a lot of visitors that come in and out and work in our city as well. Really, they are the customer. They're the ones who are going to need our services, and they're the ones that we're here for. They are responsible for voting for the folks who are on the dais tonight and give you your authority, and that authority flows down operationally through the city manager. So whenever you get to the fire department, I am the fire chief. Once again, I said we have 100 uniform positions. We currently have 2.5 vacancies. One's pending, that's why I say half. You'll see, as you go down, the administrative aide who is priceless, and you've all met her, or at least the ones on the dais have, Carla. She works there in administration with me, but as you go down, if you go in horizontal layers, you can kind of go by rank. So we have 5 different battalion chiefs. One of them is our fire marshal, who's over fire prevention. One is over training. And then the other 3 are each over our 24-hour shifts. And you can read the slide for yourself, but you'll see how it goes down from there. And goes down, the farther down you get, the more you get to that task level, and the more you get to that person who is making eye contact and is putting their hands on the patients to try to do some good and to try to stop the problems from getting worse and to meet the issues and the risks out in the field. I hit the wrong button. Okay, our budget. So once again, the people really give us our power and the authority, and they also pay the taxes and make sure that we have the resources. And then the folks on the dais to make sure that those resources are channeled to us. So in the current fiscal year, 24-25, because I would note that we give the annual report on a calendar year basis, but our budget is actually a fiscal year budget that starts on July 1st. So if you look at some of these numbers that are on here, once again, you can read these for yourself, but you can see that the overwhelming majority of our expenses fall into the personnel category, and that's the same every year. It's always over 80%. Usually around 83 to 85% of our budget goes to personnel. That's unmistakably the way that it should be, because once again, we're not just a set of buildings or a set of trucks, we're a set of people, and the people provide those services. Well, personnel services are very expensive, and there are plenty of people in this room that could tell you that. So you go down, it's actually quite a bit less that we spend in each one of our categories to be able to accomplish the things that we need to accomplish. But I do have those amounts on there. I'll say last year from the previous year, there was only roughly a 3% as far as the actual approved budget. There's only about a 3% difference in the personnel costs, and there's some different reasons for that, as far as cost savings maybe on the benefit side and unfortunately losing people with experience and having people on a lower wage scale coming in on the bottom. So you see that the total budget is close to $16.5 million there. That was only a 4.7% increase from the previous year. So that's the money. Emergency response. I'm going to talk a little bit about the things we do whenever we have to hit the street when the tones go off. So some of our emergency activity statistics, you'll see the fires on the left-hand side and the rescue and EMS services on the right-hand side. And you'll see a stark difference. It's pretty easy to say that there's a whole lot more of the rescue and EMS than there is of the fire. But for us, a lot of times the lower frequency is a higher risk call, especially for our responders. A lot of times it's those lower risk calls that are more taxing. Sometimes because they are lower frequency, that means we need to train for those things more. So that's 355 verified fires you can see in those categories. 6,700 runs overall. That was an increase from the previous year, primarily because of some changes to our call processing with EMS. So our fire response to the year, unfortunately, I do have to report that we had a fire fatality in September down in the Poet section. That's something that we don't want to happen. We like to say that we have a fire-safe community and that we're doing things to make it even safer. Unfortunately, from time to time, we do have a loss of life, a civilian loss of life, and we feel every one of those. And every one of them, we go back and we ask those questions of why and how do we stop this from happening again. Technical rescue response was big this past year. Many of you on the dais were here whenever we presented commendations here just a few months ago to several of our folks who made deployments to assist with technical rescue response, whether it was from a tornado or a water rescue type event. So a lot of times whenever these significant things happen, they're happening somewhere else. And we are going to help. I always say that we're training our people to do those things, and they're ready to do those things here. And unfortunately, we're getting the practice somewhere else with those real-world scenarios, but we're bringing those things here and those techniques and the use of the incident command system and the way that we work together and the way that we understand that our partners work together and even the financial administration side of it. We learn from those things, and we hope that these things never happen here, but we want to make sure that we're ready when they do. So training, which is really huge because we want to be prepared for those things that happen. So just a few statistics on the training. Say our Battalion Chief Corey Gann, who's sitting over here, you've seen him, he's become a familiar face of these meetings. He gave me some of this information. So we have a minimum of 100 hours of training that each individual is supposed to meet throughout the year to get their state incentive pay as hazardous employees. And Corey will tell you that we see the minimum as being settling for mediocrity. And many of us try to strive to go well beyond that when it's not that uncommon to find firefighters or folks in our department who have more than twice that number of individual training hours and some more than that. So we're proud to meet that standard, but we see that as the floor. We don't see that as the ultimate goal. We had 3 members to get out of paramedic training class. We were able to add 3 paramedics. Had 3 additional members to pass the advanced EMT. 13 of our members trained in confined space rescue to the tech level, and 7 in trench rescue to the tech level. Those are essential technical rescue skills that come into play whenever you have the kind of incidents that can strike a community and they need you the most. Those skills can be used when you have a car to run into a house or something along those lines, or when you have an industrial accident, but they really are the things that you're going to need people to be able to get out in the field and do whenever you have a tornado strike or some kind of disaster hits. So 11 entry-level firefighters. That doesn't even include our lateral transfers. We hired quite a few people last year, and so far they're all doing great. Overall, over 22,000 individual training hours for the department, and in the previous year it was just shy of 15,000, so it's quite an increase. Some of that comes from the fact that we had a sizable recruit class, but a lot of it comes from the fact that we had a changing of the guard in our training division, and Corey wanted to hit the ground running, and he's made it a priority to make sure that we're pushing that out there and really pushing the envelope on the training that we're offering and making sure that it's good quality and that more people are engaged in that training when it happens. Okay, so As you can see, and it would take several slides, and I know you don't like the lengthy presentation, so I'll say, like, this is just very basic. But you could see the car fire, you can see some of the rope stuff, and you can see what it takes to get through a door that doesn't necessarily want you to cut it open. There's a lot of fire training. There's a lot of classroom on updates that we look at things to learn better on how to engage the public for fire prevention, to go out to do code inspections. It kind of runs the gamut. Like those 22,000 hours are made up of all kinds of training because firefighters are asked to do so much. There are so many disciplines involved in the job that we do now. Moving on to fire prevention and public education. We're really proud of the program that we have there. Just a few stats. I mentioned the 22,000 hours of training for the department, 360 specific hours departmentally in prevention and public education, over 1,200 code enforcement inspections, 52 fire investigations, and then 64 public education events. Those public education events, the way that we've added up with the contacts that you get with those events, we figure over 2,000 folks that we've been able to have contact with to kind of spread that gospel of the fire safe community, to talk about when to call 911, to make sure you have a smoke detector in your home, that you're looking out to make sure that you're developing those exit drills in your home, that your kids have a meeting place, that your family is able to come together and be resilient in the face of emergencies. So you can see there that one of the prides of our department is our second grade program that we do in October, where several hundred second graders come through our facilities and we get to show them some of the things that we do. It's a little bit fun for them, but we sneak in as much education as we can and maybe a little bit of popcorn. And all the kids like it. You can see, Brian, one of the big improvements that we had in our fire prevention and public education this year is the gentleman that you see in the slide to the right being able to step up into the deputy fire marshal role in this past year. Around this time last year, I was trying to make that push to get that additional position added to our staff. And in July, Brian Roberts, one of our captains, took on the role of deputy fire marshal. He's been doing great, some new energy in that division, and he's been working really well with our fire marshal, Steve Leonard, to make sure that we're pushing those programs and putting us on a new footing where we can move even further in the future to provide even better prevention and education services. Some of the highlights of 2024, and I will note this is firefighter Jordan McMurdy, and he may not think this is one of the highlights from 2024. But he's an outstanding individual, and I like this picture. I was trying to find somewhere to put it in the slideshow. So, yeah, well, he was in an event that they were at as well. So, some of the highlights from 2024, and once again, I could have put a lot of slides on these things, but I'm trying to keep this concise. Some of the things that we did, we enhanced our advanced life support program by adding paramedics to staff at stations 3 and 5. Whenever I came here last year to speak with you guys to give the presentation for 2023, we had an ALS program already. We were licensed because we'd been licensed for a couple years at that point, but we were running out of Station 1, really cross-staffing a response vehicle to do that. We were able in the previous fiscal year to add a cardiac monitor at Station 5, so we had more of a north-south profile. And in the current budget, we added an additional cardiac monitor towards the end of last year. That allowed us to be able to staff a paramedic at Station 5 as well. That puts pretty regular staffing at 3 of our 5 stations, and they're the 3 busiest stations that make over 70% of our run volume. And as you saw in an earlier slide, most of our runs are rescue and EMS, so those skills definitely come in handy and meet the need that we see out on the street. We updated 2 of our fire stations for cancer prevention by installing diesel exhaust filtering equipment, and we're trying to look for other ways to try to prevent cancer. Some of it's through education. There's other equipment that we can work on getting in the future, and we want to make sure that our PPE that we wear is cleaner or more and more resistant and doesn't have the forever chemicals that people call them. And in the training center, we've installed the new an additional gear washer so that we can make sure that we're getting that gear clean and back out so that we don't have folks taking that risk of wearing dirty gear that's off-gassing carcinogens. We equipped the department to fight EV fires. A couple neat things, EV blankets and equipment that we can use to trick the car into thinking that it's shut off essentially so that it's safe to work around. I still need one more piece that I want to get that's a couple $1,000s if anybody wants to spare it. But we're working on it to put together a good program. That is a low frequency thing, and we know that it's kind of a slog to make electric vehicles normal in our society, and I don't expect that that's really going to necessarily speed up this year. But we want to be ready for it when it happens because people expect us to be ready. We conducted the first in-house recruit academy since 2021. I mentioned Battalion Chief Gant over here. He ran that academy class and did a stellar job of doing so. Ran an academy class of 8 recruits that we sent through there. Very different people, but all, they were the ones that made it to the end of our process. And we're so proud of all of them. And the last couple are finishing up their EMT certification now. But we're really proud of that class and the work that was done with that recruit academy. I put on there, we participated in a firefighter training exchange with Olamotes. I know Elaine's over here. It's kind of a shout out to Sister Cities, kind of spearheading that. That's a project that came from there. We sent a delegation back in April. I was part of that delegation. There were 10 area fire service individuals, volunteer and paid, who went in that group as a delegation back in April of last year. And then we followed up. That was partly to plan the next trip, which was a training trip at the end of September, where we sent a bigger group that included firefighters from several agencies, including OFD, Henderson, Davis County Fire, and some volunteers here in the county. Once again, we expect that that program is going to grow in the future, that there will be a reciprocal side to that where we could welcome some of our fire service brothers and sisters here to our community who showed us such hospitality when we visited them there. Okay. I did want to hit on the highlights, and I don't have a slide for this, but I think it's worth mentioning some highlights. Back in December, you guys recognized our administrative aide, Carla Shelton, with a Cap Gardner Award. That was a huge highlight, personally for her and for our department. She's not the first person in our department to have gotten the Cap Gardner Award. She's not the first person in this room on our department who's gotten the Cap Gardner Award. But we're extremely proud of her, and we appreciate the recognition. That was just really grand. I'd like to mention, before I go on to the goals for the next year, I'd like to give a shout out to so many of our fire department members who are engaged civically. And because civic engagement has waned in our society a lot over the past few decades, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But we have firefighters who are coaches on the ball teams, whether their kids are on those teams or not. We have firefighters who are on boards, including the Human Relations, Goodfellows Club, Audubon Area, the Red Cross, Sister Cities. We have firefighters who are engaged in doing good work through the local chapter of the IAFF. And we have dozens of firefighters who are volunteer firefighters. When they're at work with us, they want to get paid a fair wage, and they want to be treated the way that employees should be treated. But that doesn't mean that's the only time that they're willing to go into a burning building. And there are firefighters in this room who are part of that effort as well. And they are some of the best that we have. And we know where their heart is because they were doing it for their neighbors before they came to us to have a job with us. And we really appreciate that. Okay. So the goals for 2025, we have a lot of them, but these are just a few. We do look finally to have the grand opening of our training center, and we're looking for that to happen next month. It is going to happen next month, okay? Our next joint paramedic program is going to begin. It's gone really well so far. If you recall, this is a partnership that you guys actually approved. For us to partner with Davis County Fire, with AMR, and with KCTCS to be able to provide a joint program that is tailored to the needs of our local first responders. They've done a really good job with it already. We had 3 of ours to come out of that program last year. They are doing fantastic work out on the street, and we want to start that again. Is it July or August, Corey? Yeah, so we're going to start that up in August. It'll take a few months. By next summer, we'll be in even better shape as far as our ALS, advanced life support staffing with our paramedics. Some of the training that Corey's outlined for this coming year is hazardous materials technician, water rescue, swiftwater rescue tech, and even a drone operations class. The hazmat tech and the water rescue is to add to our numbers of folks who are trained to that level, and the drone operations is to start the program that we have with the purchase of the drone that you guys approved for us to buy in this current budget. Firefighter safety and wellness initiatives. This year, we're set on updating some of our fitness equipment, building in incentives for our members to participate in fitness activities, and to really just make sure that we're hammering home the message by educating our firefighters on the mental and physical well-being that's necessary for them to be able to have longevity in their jobs. Those things are extremely critical to us. Lastly, there you see improving our public education with updated programming. We have some ideas for this next budget where we could put some funds in a direction for things that's going to help with some engagement and kind of enhance our programs a little bit and help to update the curriculum that we share, especially with youths who are so impressionable and who are the ones who are going to define the future culture of this community that will keep this community a fire-safe community in the future. This is where I say thank you. But I also I will allow you to ask any questions that you might have. Kind of like whenever you stay at the end of the meetings, I'll let you ask any questions. If it's not something I've addressed in the PowerPoint, I may not respond. I'm just kidding. But anyway, does anybody have any follow-ups?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chief Howard. You definitely show us why it's worth spending $16 million to keep things going and keep everybody safe. Good job.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to stick a pin on that until you see the next budget. Okay, well, thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Elaine. See you. Was something you said, Shaylee? Yes, ma'am. Next item on the agenda is City of Owensboro website update. Baby Ruth's mommy, Shaylee Belay.
Well, good evening. About 2.5 years ago, shortly after I started this position, we began discussions on what would a new Owensboro.org look like. What were we missing in our current website? What could we do new? What were other cities doing that we weren't doing yet? And so I'm so excited that we went with a company called Revise. They're very good with municipality websites. They've done many across the country. And we are only a few days away now from launching that new Owensboro.org. And I'm so excited to give you a sneak peek of what people will see next week when they click Owensboro.org. So first things first, let's go over our main page. So one of the reasons we went with Revise was you're going to notice this beautiful video header that they do on their websites. This was a feature that we were very excited about. It's hard to put one photo on a website that summarizes Owensboro. You need a bunch of images. So the company was able to give us this beautiful video that we can interchange, and we were excited about that. The next thing I want to show you is you'll notice this alert box on the corner. This is something we don't currently have, but I'm very excited that we will have. We're able to put any alert that we want. Maybe that would be our leaf collection zones come that time of the year. Maybe it's an emergency alert that we need to let our community know. But these are all a part of just more effective communication that our new website is going to give our community. Another thing we did was we worked with our IT department to see what pages on our current website that people were clicking. And that helped us determine what pages we wanted to make out front for people to see. So some of that went into our quick links here. We also made like a new page, like our city projects page. And then also we made sure taking that data to make sure that that information was able to be seen up here in our top bar. You'll notice a little nod to our bluegrass capital of the world title with the music notes back there. I love that little detail. And then next, city news. So this is something we do have on our current page, but we wanted it to be a little more prominent so that people can see what's going on. I love the images they give. And then perhaps one of the things I'm most excited about is the new calendar feature. This is a great way for community members to come and see what's going on in our community A neat little feature with our new calendar is people can click and they can go down here and then sort out what meetings are coming up when, which is a neat little feature there. Another reason we went with Revise, the company, is they were able to create for us what we call subsites. So some of our departments, like the fire department, for instance, they've got a lot of content, and we didn't want that to be an inner page. We wanted it to look and feel like its own website. And so they gave us these 3 subsites. So that's what you see here with the fire department. So you can see they've got their own top navigation, but they're under the city there, but then it feels like its own website. They have their own quick links. They were able to create this pie chart for them. And then they even created this PSA section for all of these videos that we do for those departments. They'll be able to go in and put those directly on their website. And we did the same thing for the police department. Again, you can see it's under the main city navigation, but they've got their own navigation, they've got their own quick links, and they have their own news section because the police department does have a lot of news that they put out to the public. And they too have a PSA section. And then this will be new with our website, and I'm very excited about this. But the third subsite goes to our Public Works Department. Currently, they have several pages on our website. They don't have one home place. And so we found in that data, a lot of our top pages that people were looking at were actually Public Works pages. So we were able to give them their own look and feel of a website. You'll see like Leaf and Limb here and their own quick links. Those were some of our top pages where sanitation and Leaf and Limb, people really want to know about their trash pickup. And then they too have a PSA section. And then also transit mirrors that, very similar to that page. It looks the same, and then again, kind of has its own quick links. So it's been really excited working with everyone to get those pages looking good. But as we were going through the process here, we discovered that some of our departments have a lot of content. Owensboro Parks, they've got a lot of facilities, a lot of leagues, a lot of signups. So we actually had to create for them their own website, and you'll see that here. We're excited about this one. They too have the alert systems. They've got the quick links with a lot of pages that we notice that families were clicking there, and just everything's very easily navigatable and easy to find for families. They've got a calendar, and we just wanted this to be an easy site for families to figure out how do you sign your kid up for T-ball, how do you rent the Duke and Best Recreation Center, and we've been very excited to incorporate their new branding and get that going there. So one of the features that'll be new on our website, again, that we're very excited to have, is this feature called e-Notify. And this is exciting because this is going to allow us to do email and text alerts to people. So if you see that screen right there, the phone that you see, that's actually a screenshot of my phone last night when I was testing out this feature. This allows me to, anytime we post news on our website, I can send a text message to any community member who's signed up that they want to text when we update city news. This also allows our police department to do the same thing. They have a category. Our Public Works Department can have a category for leaf collection. We can set up any category that we want to be able to communicate to community members. And I think we know in this digital day and age, I mean, that's very big. Most people are going to get access to your information by sending it directly to their phone. And so I'm very excited about this. This would also work out in emergency situations if we had to get information out to community members. And you'll see they attach a link right there that people can click, and it sends them straight to their story. Speaking of mobile, it's very important that our new website be mobile friendly. Our current website is not. And about 80% of people are going to be looking at our website on their phone. And this new website is extremely mobile friendly. You'll see there on the left, that was me scrolling on my own phone. You can access the calendar, all of our pages. Everything is easily accessible via the phone. And again, I can't stress how important that is in our day to make sure that people can do that. So when are we launching? Well, we are looking at launching early next week. So we're very excited to get this rolling out. There's so many features that people are going to enjoy with our new website, but we're also excited to get community feedback because we put things and pages that we think people will be able to find, but there's always a chance that we need to move that. And so we're actually going to be bringing in some other people, maybe some friends, some other city employees. We might give them a task like, hey, can you find how to sign your kid up for T-ball in 1 minute? Can you find how to apply for a business license in 1 minute? They can get that data back to us, and we may need to move things, adjust things according to that. So we're very excited for this to launch, and I also want to give a special thank you to everyone who's helped make this possible. We've seen firefighters, members of the police department, members of public works, everyone become website designers these last few months. And I can't say thank you enough to everyone who has had their hands in this project. The list is long, but you know who you are. And I'm so excited to see the new Owensboro.org next week. Do you have any questions?
Questions, please? I know I worked so hard on this, and I'll tell you what, it just worried me to death. But I've told you before, I want to congratulate city manager and one of the best hires that we've ever had in Owensboro. And this is my 13th year as mayor, so you brought us into the next generation, and we certainly appreciate your efforts.
Well, thank you. That means a lot, Mayor. Thank you.
And Mayor, could I thank her and Maddie as well? So Maddie is the other member of the communications team, and they do a great job. And this was a substantial amount of work. You heard her reference months and months, and that was legitimately a month and months and months to create this, migrate old content, create new content. So she referenced the departments spent many hours doing their respective areas, but certainly from a coordination and oversight, Shaylee and Maddie were heavily involved, and so I want to acknowledge them. As she referenced, this was something that was a priority really going back at least a couple of years when we stood up this department, and so glad to see it come to fruition to where we can much better engage with our community.
So if somebody calls me or texts me and asks me a question I can't answer, I just tell them to go to owensboro.org.
Absolutely. It'll be there waiting for
Follow
them.
the bouncing ball and you'll figure it out.
There we go.
Good deal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think she needs an attagirl. Okay. Sorry about following that. Project list, City Manager Nate Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing in particular I highlight this week. You did have a hard copy in front of you, and I'd emailed that out, and you had it in your packet. So other than that, I'm happy to address any questions, should you have any.
Questions, commissioners? I don't guess there's any. Y'all still looking? Okay, we'll move on then. Item 5A, I'd like for you all to consider approval of the minutes dated March 4th, 2025. I'll make a motion to approve these minutes. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any additions, deletions, or any additional opportunity to speak to this matter? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 5B, Housing Authority Board of Owensboro, reappoint Tanya Barr to a full 4-year term effective March 21st, 2025. Human Relations Commission, reappoint Ramon Munez Sarmiento to 3-year term effective March 18th, 2025. I'll make a motion to approve these appointments. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Ordinance, second reading, roll call vote, Ms. Davis.
Ordinance 3-2025, an ordinance approving and adopting text amendments to the Owensboro Metropolitan Zoning Ordinance for the cities of Owensboro and Whitesville and Davis County regarding revisions to Article 18 floodplain regulations, specifically regarding the definitions of substantial improvement to existing structures and standards for manufactured homes and recreational vehicles. Read for approval on second reading this 18th day of March 2025.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve this ordinance.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
City manager, discussion.
Just in summary, Mayor, this is second reading of a text amendment to the zoning ordinance related to the floodplain. Brian Howard from the Planning Commission briefed you at our last meeting, and Brian is here should you have any questions about this particular item.
Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanford,
Yes.
Commissioner Neesmith,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Maglinger.
Yes.
Motion approved. Thank you.
Mayor, I should have added, sorry, just one other quick note. These are just some minor changes, but they were done in order to get maximum points to try to get the biggest discount for our local citizens who get flood insurance in the National Flood Insurance Program. So there are certain things we can do to get discounts, just like a homeowner may get discounts on their auto insurance policy or homeowner's insurance. There are things that we can do from a regulatory standpoint to try to maximize discounts so anyone in the city gets a maximum discount on their flood insurance.
So how do the citizens know about that?
Well, they just know about it whenever they get their flood insurance premium and it's lower than it otherwise would be. We can hopefully get them a 15% discount on what the standard rate would be.
Okay, good deal, good point. Any other? Okay, item 7, municipal order.
Municipal Order 5-2025, a municipal order authorizing the application for funds from the Federal Emergency Management Agency in the total amount of $11,465,438, and authorizing and directing the funds to be dispersed to Owensboro Grain Holding Company, Inc., to facilitate construction of a wall on the bank of the Ohio River to ensure the continued stability of Owensboro Grain's facilities, and authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement with Owensboro Grain Holding Company, Inc. concerning the funds. Read for approval on one reading this 18th day of March 2025.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager?
Yes, this municipal order authorizes a grant application to FEMA on behalf of Cargill, or formerly Owensboro Grain. The company's site along East 2nd Street is experiencing instability along a portion of the riverbank called slope creep. As a result, this grant request would provide funding for sheet pilings to stabilize the bank. The required 25% match for this grant would be the responsibility of Cargill, so the city has no financial obligation or costs for the project. We'll submit the application. The Green River Area Development District is writing the application and will administer the grant if it is approved or awarded. We've applied for this grant in the past for Cargill or Owensboro Grain, but it has not yet been funded. And then Blake Edge from GRAD is here should you have additional questions.
Any questions for Mr. Edge?
It's a pretty easy request. We're happy to do it for a good corporate partner.
Sure, I guarantee it. Okay, do we need a motion? Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 7B, please.
Municipal Order 6-2025, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an application for law enforcement protection program grant funding through the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security in the amount of $64,985.60, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the City of Owensboro Police Department to purchase pistols with optical sights. No match required from the city. Read for approval on one reading this 18th day of March 2025.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve this recommendation. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager?
No additional comments, Mayor. She described it well.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7C, please.
Municipal Order 7-2025, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an application for law enforcement protection program grant funding through the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security in the amount of $51,227.69, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the City of Owensboro Police Department to purchase rounds of ammunition for patrol rifles and pistols. No match required from the city. Read for approval on one reading this 18th day of March 2025.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager?
No additional comments needed.
I guess if we're gonna buy them guns, we've gotta get them bullets too, don't we? That makes sense.
Would help.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 8, city manager.
We'll have several tonight, Mayor. First, Angela Woniger will present the February financial report.
Ms. Woniger.
Yes, happy to give the PowerPoint presentation for the financials. It'd be for the general fund activity for the month of and the 8 months ended February 2025. You may refer to page 3 of the financial packet for more detail. For slide 1, in the month of February, actual revenues $5,864,458 were less than budgeted revenues of $6,333,012, resulting in a variance of $468,554. This variance is primarily due to lower property tax, withholdings, and insurance license fee, which was partially offset by higher interest income. For the next slide, we've got fiscal year-to-date February, which is 8 months of activity. The year-to-date actual revenues of $54,628,842 were higher than budgeted revenues of $52,265,105 for a variance of $2,363,737. This variance is primarily due to higher net profits, higher insurance license fees, and higher interest income. This is partially offset by lower occupational withholding. Also want to add a note that a portion of the property tax and the net profits later in the fiscal year will be dispersed due to our tax increment financing and developer incentive agreements. The next slide is for the month of February actual expenditures of $5,907,560, which were less than budgeted expenditures of $11,663,553 for a variance of $5,755,993. This variance is primarily due to the timing of a land purchase versus when the budget was amended. So last month we had higher actuals than budget on that, as well as timing for personnel services. We budgeted in February 3 pay periods when actuals were 2 pay periods because it was that format last year. So we got that variance and it levels out with the year to date. For slide 4, for the 8 months ended February, fiscal year to date, actual expenditures, we had $53,032,742, less than budgeted expenditures of $59,899,576 for a variance of $6,866,834. This variance is primarily due to timing and maintenance, capital expenditures, and transfers to OMU, and savings in personnel services. And I'll just add to that the savings in the personnel services is $1 million at this point in time. For the last slide is monthly. The city's monthly revenues and expenditures are cyclical as depicted on this chart. Expenses, which are reflected by the red bar, typically outpace revenues in the warmer months, and likewise we have months where revenues, as depicted by the green bar, outpace expenditures in the months of October and November due to collection of property taxes, as well as in the month of April due to collection of net profits. We might see a little bit difference in activity this fiscal year since the deadline for net profits has been extended for the state of Kentucky. So we follow that protocol, and it's been extended to October. And that's it for my financial report. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for the finance? We're doing good, right? Yeah.
We're doing well.
That's right. Doing well? Okay.
Doing good.
All right, good. Good job. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to consider this financial report. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. City Manager?
Yes, following personnel appointments for your consideration tonight: Allison Clark and Megan Hunter, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointments to telecommunicator with the police department effective March 24th. Eric Lee, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to officer with the police department effective March 24th. And Paris Cameron, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment to telecommunicator with the police department effective April 7th. And then for regular status and completing their probationary periods, Jennifer Hamilton and Hunter McDaniel, regular full-time, non-civil service appointments to clerk typist with the police department effective March 25th. And Nathaniel Cunningham, regular full-time, non-civil service appointment to firefighter with the fire department effective March 27th.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve these appointments. Could I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. City Manager, comments?
Yes, Mayor, I have 2 or 3 things to cover tonight, actually. First of all, I think we've got a photo that we'll show for the first one, but today March 18th is Transit Driver Appreciation Day. So Shaylee went down to the transit office today and took pictures, or a picture of our drivers. We have 19 or 20 full-time drivers, typically another 4 or 5 part-time, and so I think most of them were able to make the photo today. So that's a group that probably doesn't get as much recognition as they deserve. The transit service is vital to those that rely on public transit to get to the doctor or to the pharmacy or the groceries in particular, or their hot spots. So I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge them on Transit Driver Appreciation Day. As everyone is well aware by this point, we had some unfortunate inclement weather over the weekend, which has caused quite a bit of damage to city facilities, city vehicles, and many of our residents as well. So when these types of activities or events occur, we get a lot of out-of-town or out-of-state contractors that try to come in town and procure work in the community. And so we've had a couple of questions over the last couple of days about how does that work from a licensing perspective. And so our ordinance regarding business license does actually address situations like this. So that's administered through the finance department. So I've asked Angela to give a brief overview of how that works for out-of-town vendors when they do business in Owensboro.
Yes, for anyone in Owensboro or from out of town conducting business within the city corporate limits, they're required to get a business license to conduct business in the city. And there's no exceptions on that. If you're selling Tupperware door to door, you're required to get a business license. And so we've had a slew of companies come in, some from Nashville, Bowling Green, and north of here. We've had a lot of people come in. So we're very pleased that people are coming in. Hopefully all of them are. And what they can do is just come to City Hall and fill out the business license application. As long as they have the information required, and they should, then we can give them a business license there on the spot. For anyone out of town, we have the forms available online as well. We have had people email them to us, and we can bill them as a $75 minimum fee to get a business license. And so at any rate, that's the protocol. We do have a couple of exceptions, which I don't see them applying to the situation, except for possibly maybe on deliveries. If someone were to be making a delivery of, say, roof shingles or supplies into the city, and they're just coming to drop them off and to leave, we do give an allowance, a maximum of 12 entries into the city to make those deliveries. Then that would be exempt from a business license. That's the only exemption I can think of that would apply to the situation. And also to the residents, we have had residents call in and ask, do they have insurance? Do they have a business license? And those are all good questions to ask. And I would encourage every owner out there to make sure that your contractor does have a business license and that they also have general liability insurance, and that would include the workers' comp. We have people want to ask us if they have insurance, and that's not something we can answer for them. They'll have to get that from the contractor themselves. But that's all I have on that, if anyone has any questions.
Mr. Sanford?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. Since we have a new website coming out, would there be a way to put who has a license and who doesn't, or so people know? Can you do that?
That's such a moving target. Mm-hmm. It changes every day. That would be something we could look at. We could look at doing that.
Yeah, so it is quite a volume. I think right now we have about 11,400 active business licenses.
Uh-huh.
Have you had it just categorized? Roofers, or
we do have them categorized. It's called by a BIC code, business identification code. We do have them categorized, but like as the city manager said, plus we also administer for the county, and so where one might be delinquent one day and we have them on the website, that might it might be put us in a bad position if we weren't on top of it all the time. Not a good. I mean, that's a good question. Not a bad question.
Good question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Neesmith.
I waited until
Welcome
you told
back.
my name. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Angela, I think I know the answer, but just to make sure. So if I come in and get a business license and I have 5 people working for me and I pay them $5 an hour, whatever. Do we get occupational tax? Do we get any revenue from that?
It depends on how they file their business license. They can file one with no employees, and that means that the contractor he pays his employees by 1099. They're not like W-2 employees. Now, if they do indicate on their business license that they have employees, then yes, we would get occupational from that. And Dana Coombs, our tax department manager, she does a great job of following up on all that as well, because when they have to file their net profit, she cross-references what they take as an expense for salaries against other reports that we have. So there's no way for them to get out of that. We'll catch them if they try to mislead us and deceive that, but that's how that works.
So what about the people that just come in? I had someone come to the hotel the other day. I happened to not be there. And they told my front desk that, hey, we've been inspecting the hotels downtown. We'd like to go to your roof. We want to inspect so we can give you an estimate. Fortunately, my people were smart enough to say you got to talk to Sharon first. But is there any way that could have been someone we would have said, yeah, and if you didn't know better, you might have said okay. And they may never even ask for a business license. Do we have any follow-ups, or do we have any way of finding out who's out there working without a business license? And I know that probably the answer to that, but
yeah, well, and that's what I said earlier, that I would encourage every homeowner to be sure that you ask to see the business license or a copy of it. And I personally wouldn't want someone on my roof without proof of the business license and the insurance as well, because if something happens on your property, say they drop a blowtorch and it starts a fire, you want to be sure they have the coverage to address that and handle that for you. But yeah, I would make sure that you had all those things before you allow them on your property, on the roof. So yeah.
So if anyone has some good ideas how to follow up on that, be sure and share them.
Oh, right. We encourage, and you'd be surprised, people are very good about calling and reporting their competition. If they know there's a competitor out there, they will quickly call in, and so that's helpful to us. And so we highly encourage that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then, Mayor, one last comment for my comments tonight. I've asked Stephen to address a related topic. So after these types of storm events, we typically have a lot of debris, and so wanted him to give a brief reminder on how that works and how citizens can take their own debris for free to the transfer station, contractors cannot, and how all that works.
Yes, going back to your previous comment regarding transit, I want to highlight that it's 19 full-time drivers, and I'm pleased to say we are fully staffed at the moment. So fingers crossed we stay that way for quite some time. So yes, it's a good reminder with the recent storms. If you have any limbs or things like that have accumulated in your yard, we will pick those up on your scheduled trash day. But for some reason, if you've got excess and you don't want to wait till your Monday or Thursday, whatever day that may be, if you take your OMU or Kinergy bill, whichever one you guys may have, if you take that along with your valid ID to the Grimes transfer station, you can dispose of limbs and trash free of charge, and that goes to all paying City of Owensboro sanitation customers. So there's no exceptions. If you're a paying customer of City of Owensboro sanitation department, that service is provided to you. Now this is for residents. It's not intended for contractors. So I want to highlight that. And also I will recommend you, if you take anything to the transfer station, please tarp it. That's a request from Davis County. So, yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions you all may have. Thank you.
Okay. Communication from elected officials. Commissioner Maglinger?
Thank you, Mayor. Let's congratulate the huge success of Burger Week for Owensboro and with Visit Owensboro and the City of Owensboro and Tim's team. That tourism just brings in new dollars, and it's amazing. I heard anywhere from a company saying they sold more burgers in 2 days than they did the whole year. and they had 4 or 5 more days to go. So that's huge. And then a waitress had something, or had more tips than they've had ever on that. Secondly, had the honor to be part of the groundbreaking for Ms. Can here in Owensboro, $155 million expansion and 44 high-paying jobs. So that's amazing. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Commissioner Sanford?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. One, maybe I could have said it a minute ago when Stephen was up here, but I was out there with your guys today, and I think I told you earlier, they're out there cleaning out drains and stuff, so our streets don't flood, stuff like that. So, and I've seen them all over town. So we're very lucky to have you guys working so hard. I'm sure a lot of cities don't have the services we have, and we appreciate that. So thank you very much. Number two, on a different type of note, there was something in the paper that kind of disturbed me a little bit on March 11th by an elected official here in town and at the county, and to me, there's no place for that, and saying the kind of things they said about city officials. And I think we're all trying to go ahead and we're trying to move forward and do things the right way, and we're trying to make improvements for our community, city and county together. And I just think stuff like that doesn't, people look at it from the outside and it doesn't do any of us any good. I respect everybody at the county. They do a great job. But when you take offense with my colleagues up here and our staff, I will say something. And I think that was kind of out of line, and I just wanted to mention that real quick. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for saying that, but most people discount that commissioner anyway. So, Commissioner Neesmith?
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that has helped each other out with all of these things going on. As a widowed female now, when things happen to the car, I got to learn what you do when you have to go to the insurance company or when your back windshield is broke out. It was a very interesting lesson, and I was so proud of myself because I actually did it myself. But I just ask people for help. Everybody I've run into in the community has been very graceful and helpful in rental cars and the collision centers and things. So it is a time that's difficult and inconvenient, but it kind of makes us appreciate what we do have when everything is good. And that the other thing that I would like to bring up, I had someone tell me not too long ago that they were not aware that in our community that we had food insecurities. I'm not going to bring up a lot of information. There was a recent article in the Owensboro Times about a plan that's being looked at and proposed to both city and county government. And so if any of your organizations are interested in knowing more about that, contact one of us. We'll be glad to put you in touch with the persons that can make that happen. I am the eternal optimist. So for us to be able to say in 4 years from now we could bring the 30 food distribution outlets, they could receive free food where they could give out to the people that do use their facilities, and that we could support that ongoing without continuous government support is an amazing accomplishment, and I do know that the people behind that have great credibility. So as you hear more or if you're interested, please contact us and we'll put you in touch with the experts, and not only their experts but their community members that care. This was emphasized to me the other day, and one of my employees maybe doesn't make a great financial decisions at times, but one of those financial decisions was that they had to make their car payment, feed the dog, pay the rent, all that stuff, so they didn't eat food. And it was very obvious in their how they were working that there was something wrong. And so they went to the food pantry, and so for the week they got 6 packs of applesauce. I don't know about you all, but I'd probably eat them all one night. But so just think about things like that, and as you hear opportunities come up, or if you're interested in, if you're in some groups and you'd like people to come talk to you about this, we do know who to put you in touch with. And so just think about that and as you pray about things at night.
Thank you. I too went to got to speak at the MISCON groundbreaking, and we spent time with the governor, and I told him that we're going to have to get him an Airbnb because he's been down here so much. A hotel room or a hotel room. I was wanting him to pay, and you'd probably give it to him. But and he had a lot of great remarks about how well Owensboro's doing, and in fact, I actually saw him later that day at Wonder Whip. He was handing out handing money, going at the window and giving you your food and trying to make change, and so he spent quite a bit of time here, and he's a legislative aide is Rocky Atkins, and he's a good man, and he knows where to put him at the right point. So we're happy to have him in town. That's all I have. Item 10, open public forum. Members of the audience may address the Board of Commissioners on any matter of public concern that was not on the agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of the Commission. Commission meetings are held to conduct city business for the benefit of Owensboro citizens and taxpayers. At this time, anyone who wishes to address the City Commission, please make their way to the podium. To be recognized, speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record and limit the remarks to 3 minutes or less. Since the item is not on the agenda, no response is required by staff or commissioners. Board, the mayor reserves the right to extend the time to the speaker. So, open mic. Got a taker already.
I always get to be first for some reason. Anyhow, first of all, I want to say thank you. Oh my goodness. I'm new here for the most part, but I have to say again, the introduction to the heart of Owensboro is prevalent beyond anything else. I can't go into details, obviously, 2 to 3 minutes doesn't give that, but I just want everybody to know you're appreciated, your efforts are noted, and thank you because all of us as mothers, fathers, grandparents, grandfathers, so on and so forth, we're one family. All of us. It's a city family, but we're still a family. And that is a place that leads us into constantly seeking for new things, how to improve for everyone, how to include everyone. And I hear all of you working on all of that together. And I just want to say thank you for sharing.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
I'm sorry, I forgot.
That's okay.
Family. Diana Friend, 316 Hale Avenue.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. I'll make a motion to go into closed session under KRS 61-810-1B for discussion on future acquisition or sale of a property. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
There will be no further business following the closed session.